I mean, even recently I had someone was like, what is a podcast? Asking that person to listen to your specific podcast, you're asking them to go through a behavior change. If your numbers are going down, then that is a big sign that you should change your podcast format or content. 99% of people, myself included, are not getting 1,000 downloads in the first month. Be yourself. Be awesome. Be fun. Bring them along. Make them part of the club. Welcome to another episode of Smarter Podcasting with me, your host, Neil Mackay, the podcast guy. I'm the founder of 7 Million Bikes Podcast. I'm sitting right now in the Saigon podcast studio where we're based in Vietnam, but we work with podcasts all over the world to help them make the best podcast possible. We work with over 100 podcasts, help with thousands of episodes, millions of downloads, and help many shows get to the top of the podcast charts. In this show, Smarter Podcasting, I share my tips and my tricks, my failures, and I talk to industry experts as well, all to help you make the best podcast possible. If you want to work with 7 Million Bikes Podcast, then go to 7millionbikes.com. There's a link in the top right that says Talk to Neil, that's me, and I will be happy to talk through with you how we can help you with everything from recording if you're here in Saigon, through to production, post-production, and even marketing as well. Now, every now and again, I do a special Q&A episode, and I get questions from listeners, and we get questions from listeners, but I completely forgot to put out the post this month to say, give me your questions. So instead, if you've been listening to this podcast, if you know anything about me, my best friend in the world is ChatGPT. I use it for everything. And so I'm using it in this episode today. ChatGPT knows probably more about me than anyone else in the world. And it knows more about 7 Million Bikes podcast as well. So I asked ChatGPT, give me 5 questions about podcasting that I can answer on Smarter Podcasting to help you. So let's see what ChatGPT had to say. I put it in just a minute ago. I haven't seen these questions yet. Number 1, how do you know when it's time to pivot your podcast format or content? That's a good one. Well, at the end of the day, it comes down to listens and downloads, right? If your podcast is not growing, if it's staying stable, I would say that's still okay. You've built up a good following. But if your numbers are going down, then that is a big sign that you should change your podcast format or content. But it's not just about the numbers, it's about engagement. One of the downfalls of host websites is they can't tell you your engagement rates. So hosts pull in all that data from Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Castbox, all these different platforms to tell you the amount of times that basically someone has just clicked play on your episode. It can't tell you how long they listened for. Did they make it past 5 seconds, 10 seconds, anything like that? It can just tell you where they were in the world, how they were listening, and did they start the episode. So it can be really useful. You can see the amount of people that listen to your podcast, which is really just the amount of times that somebody clicked your podcast for just 1 second. If you want to find out how long people have been listening for, then you're going to need to go to Apple Connect or Spotify for Podcasters. I can't even remember the name because I don't use it very often. But you're going to have to go into these individual websites and they will then tell you the percentage of how long people have been listening for. You can't find it on your host website. I'm not going to lie, I don't even know if you can find it from iHeart or any of these other platforms, but I know you can find it on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It does mean your numbers are diluted. You see on your host website the total number of listens. But for me, Apple Podcast is like 50% of my listeners come there, 25% on Spotify. So it means that I don't even know if they're statistically accurate, but you can get a good sense. For a long-form podcast, you should be getting about 60 to 80% engagement, and there's a good rate. So look at those numbers, find those numbers on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. If you can see, unfortunately, that people are dipping out after just 5-10 minutes, if you only have engagement of 10 to 20%, that for me is the biggest sign that I would look at changing my content and my format. If you're doing well, if you're getting 60 to 80% engagement, your numbers are stable or they're going up, I wouldn't change anything at all. Number 2, what's the one thing most podcasters waste time on that doesn't actually grow their audience? What a great question. And I think it's quite an easy answer. It's social media. And I've done it and we all do it and we've all done it. Don't be wasting your time on social media. It's fun and it's cool and we love it. Like, let's be honest, we're all addicted to the opium hits of social media. I've gone back and forth with it over the years. It probably has helped me grow my show a little bit, but it's probably the biggest waste of time that you're using. Your listeners might be on social media. You can use social media if you want to connect with your audience. If you create a group, remember you don't own the group. That's the problem. That Facebook could change the algorithm. But if you want to create some sort of community, there's probably better ways to do it than social media. But yeah, sure, you can create a group on social media and bring your listeners in there and create, a community, as I mentioned. If you want to use social media to grow your show, then I would say that that's probably a pretty big waste of time. The thing is, even though clearly if you're watching this or listening to this right now, you love podcasts, I love podcasts, but not everyone does. And I think the last stats is it's only just now that over 50% of people in the US have listened to a podcast in the last month. And that's just the US, which is the biggest market. Still in 2025, most people in the world don't listen to podcasts. I mean, even recently I had someone was like, what is a podcast? Not everyone knows what they are. It's because they're becoming way more mainstream in the last couple of years, but still not everyone knows what they are. So I think if you are a podcaster that's starting out, don't waste too much time on social media. If you are going to do it, choose one platform and do it really well, but it's just probably not going to grow your audience very much. And the reason I say about a lot of people still don't listen to podcasts, if you're targeting people on social media, let's just say 50% of those people don't even listen to podcasts. So right away, 50% of your audience don't even know what a podcast is, don't listen to them. But then asking that person to listen to your specific podcast, you're asking them to go through a behavior change. And that's one of the most difficult things in the world. Companies spend millions of dollars on research alone, millions of dollars on advertising campaigns to try and get someone to change their behavior to do what they want them to do. So by you spending time on social media, you're asking people to go through a behavior change, which is really, really difficult to do. So find where your audience are. I would go through, try your best with organic marketing, pay a little bit. If you listen to my episode with Gary Arndt, he said, if you want to be a podcaster, you got to put some budget into it. Put some money into advertising on Acast or Pod News. Doesn't have to be much, but your time and budget would be better spent doing that if you want to grow your podcast. So cut out social media. Number 3, oh my God, if you had to start your podcast from scratch today, what would you do differently? I mean, it's so hard because now I'm in a professional studio with lights, cameras, an assistant who's checking the camera right now. But we've changed everything else, really. The branding, the colors have never changed. But what would I do differently if I started today? I mean, everything almost. It's a difficult question because I wouldn't change anything at the same time, because the biggest thing is you've just got to get started. So whatever equipment you have, even if it's just your phone, no cameras, no lights, nobody helping you, even if it's only your phone, just get started. If I had to do one thing differently, yeah, it's hard to say. I would do everything differently and then nothing at the same time. The biggest thing, just get started. Number 4, how can small podcasts attract sponsors when they don't have huge download numbers? It goes against everything that I advise. I say that sell your own services, don't look for sponsors. There's the CPM method where at the moment I think you need to get 1,000 downloads in the first 30 days to get just $29. $29 for 1,000 downloads. If you get 1,000 downloads in the first 30 days of your podcast, you're in the top 1% of podcasts in the world right away. So that means 99% of people, myself included, are not getting 1,000 downloads in the first month. So how do you sell that to sponsors? Sponsors want visibility, right? If you go to any brand, really, they're going to be, how many people do you reach? And then you're like, well, we have 40 people listen and they're all over the world. They're not going to use your brand. It's really, really difficult. It doesn't mean that you can't do it. So if you have just 50 to 100 downloads in the first 30 days, and your podcast is really niche, and that's really the key core here. If your podcast is about accounting, you can talk to accounting firms and see if they want to sponsor the podcast. If your podcast is about knitwear, go and talk to wool brands and see if they want to sponsor it, because they might do it anyway. A lot of people sponsor things because it's community level. Brands will sponsor the local football team or the local sports teams, not because they're doing it for an ROI, not because they're doing it because they think that they're going to suddenly get all these benefits from it. They do it because they want to help the community. So I would say mostly if you're a small podcast, reach out to brands within your community, if you're local or in your niche. Don't expect a huge amount. Do your research. Ask ChatGPT. What do you think that they should pay for that small audience? So it's probably not going to be much, because just remember, the industry standard is $29 for 1,000 listens. So if you go to a local brand and you're like, hey, can you sponsor me $500? But we have 20 listeners. They don't know the CPM probably, but they're probably not going to do it. But if you have just 30 downloads per episode, 10 seasons, that's 300 downloads, right? Then you could add, we're going to give you an ad at the beginning, the middle, and the end. So that's 3 ads. So now suddenly they're getting 900 impressions. Okay. So now we're nearly at the 1,000 level, but you're not going to ask them for $29, right? So you could say, can you sponsor 10 episodes? We're going to give you 3 ad placements. That's about 900 impressions based on just 30 people. Let's say you get 50. Okay. So 50, 350 times 10. That's 1,500 impressions. Not only that, we're going to put your logo on every piece of artwork so that that lives forever. If anyone ever comes across those podcasts, even in 5 years' time, they're going to see your logo. We're going to tag you on every social media post we do. We're going to create some short form content videos as well, and those reach thousands of people. Basically, I'm telling you how we do sponsorship. We have a little bit bigger audience, but not huge. But you package all of that together. You suddenly can say, hey, from this sponsorship, your brand is going to reach 10,000 people. It's going to be seen 10,000 times, 10,000 impressions. Suddenly that CPM of $29 per 1,000 downloads, you could say to the person, do you want to sponsor this for $500? If you're a small podcast and someone gives you $500 for 10 episodes, it's enough to cover probably your host website, your editing website, if you pay for something like Descript, maybe give you a little bit of extra as well. And you're probably like me, you're starting your podcast because you just love podcasting and you want to do it. So any little bit of extra money is going to help you. My biggest tip though, I would say actually, if you do sell that sponsorship, take that money, however small it is, and reinvest it into other types of advertising, like with Acast or Spotify for advertisers, things like this. And then you will watch your podcast grow. And number 5, what's the best way to keep listeners coming back week after week? Be yourself. Be awesome. Be fun. Bring them along. Make them part of the club. I don't do that very well, but I know some of the best podcasts that do. Have a name for your listeners. And one of my favorite podcasts is My Dad Wrote a Porno, which they read out the host's dad's erotic literature, which is a very loose definition of that word. And the main character is called Belinda Blinks. That's right. So they started calling the audience Blinkers. Then I know one of my favorite podcasts of all time is the Matt and Jerry Show. They're Radio Haraki breakfast show hosts in New Zealand. They repurpose their broadcast radio show, put it on podcast. But then what they do is they stay behind after the show because they love podcasting so much. And then just talk for like an hour. It goes against everything I'd say about podcasting, but they're just amazing broadcasters and really, really popular show. And then in this podcast, they called it the Daily Bespoke Podcast, and they started calling their listeners the Bespokey Dokies. And their main guy, Matt, I thought, he's doing this on purpose. I'm pretty sure. It's just, he's too intelligent to not. So I actually reached out to him on LinkedIn. I was like, hey, love the show. Just a quick question. Are you calling your listeners the Bespokey Dokies on purpose? Are you trying to make it like a club? You won't actually believe this. We're recording this on August 21st. My birthday is tomorrow, August 22nd. On August 22nd, on my birthday last year, 2024, I was listening to the show as I always do. And suddenly out of nowhere, he goes, I've just had a communique, a message from somebody in the podcasting industry asking, do I call our listeners Bespokey Dokies, on purpose? Is it like a ruse? Is it a way to like get them in? And then before he even said anything else, the other host went, oh, well, what did you say? And he quite smartly, to help extend the conversation, he's like, well, I haven't responded yet. And so that led to them having a whole conversation. And the other guys on the show didn't know or didn't think he was doing it on purpose. And one of them was actually like, this guy's so cynical. He thinks that we're calling our listeners Bespokey Dokies. That's terrible. We just love our listeners. I'd gotten a message on LinkedIn back from Matt that was like, that's exactly why I call them Bespokey Dokies, to make them feel part of the club. And I was like, I knew it. I was right. And so I was like, I can't believe that other guy on your show was bagging me out. He's calling me cynical. And he's like, nah, he was just kidding. But I saw through it. I was really proud of that. So I think that's a long-winded way to get your listeners to come back week after week. From all the successful podcasts that I've ever seen, make them feel part of the club. Come up with a name for them. I even come up with a name for mine on a Vietnam podcast. I called them the Bop Sao Dares. And I forgot about it. Like, I'm so terrible. That's why I said, do what I say, not what I do. So I tried to do that, call them the Bop Sao Dares, which Bop Sao Day, if you're not in Vietnam, it's fried corn. It's amazing. It's all over the place here. It's part of my jingle. But if you want to keep them coming back every week, create a club. I said don't use social media, but go and create a group on social media. Just one platform. Don't try and be everywhere, and try and bring them along for the ride. So that is my question and answer episode for you. Thank you very much to ChatGPT. Those questions were amazing. If you have any questions for me that you want to be featured on a future episode, then please go to one of my social medias that I am out there, Instagram, Facebook, or just email me, neil@7millionbikes.com. Let me know your questions and I'll answer them on a future episode. And don't forget, please rate, review, subscribe, and most of all, share this episode with other podcasters who want to make the best podcast possible. And if you want to work with me and with 7 Million Bikes Podcast, go to 7millionbikes.com. Cheers.